Hey there, I'm going to talk a little bit about alchemizing and like my own experience because alchemizing, like, I feel like when I used to think about alchemizing or like look at how to alchemize it, it was like, oh my god, like that's so hard. That's like energy bending. That's like you've got to be so smart to be able to alchemize and like that's literally not the case at all. Alchemizing is literally like making a negative experience or a negative like situation and like using it to your own benefit to make it positive and make it a good thing for yourself, like looking back at this experience and being like, but I learned this from that, and this ended up changing me into the person I am today, that I'm so thankful for. And I was able to learn this and grow from this and understand how that behavior was not great and it was toxic. And, you know, using an experience to your advantage. Say, you've had a negative experience with a friend and it ended really badly and it was an awful experience, but being able to sit there and go, okay, let's figure this out. What went wrong and why did it go wrong? And what were my doings in it? It's also taking responsibility for your own doings and not just putting the blame all on the other person, going, they did this, they did that, they need to work on this, they need to work on that, but going, and I need to work on this. And next time when a situation happens like this, I could go about it this way. And, learning like your triggers as well. What triggered me into reacting like this? And why do I have that trigger? What does it stem from? Maybe from my childhood or another negative experience that I've had. And how can I go about it differently next time so I react in a different way, in a more positive way, in a way that's not toxic and doesn't affect anybody else or hurt somebody else's feelings, for example. Like, I tend to look at experiences like if a negative experience or horrible experience or falling out has happened in my life and kind of break it down and think, what have I learned from this person and from this experience? I may have learned what I don't want in a friend or a relationship. May have learned some of my bad and negative and toxic behaviors and what stemmed about those behaviors, what circumstance or situation happened that made me react in that way and why, and then learning about it. I think alchemizing definitely comes with a lot of like learning about yourself and taking responsibility for yourself and saying, you know, hey, not just saying hey, no, I'm bugging a little bit, but looking at that experience for sure and then kind of deciding, kind of picking it apart. What parts did I like and what parts didn't I like? Why didn't I like those parts and why did I like those parts? And moving forward into another friendship or another relationship or circumstance. I can't tell if my phone's moving. I think it is. It is. But moving into the next experience, what can be different so that it is happy and positive for me and I don't go down the same lines again of having that bad experience. I haven't put this up great, have I? I hate when that happens. Anyways, like an experience that I recently went through with a betrayal and like just some not nice things that everyone goes through in life. But I kind of took the time to go, oh, okay. So, how did I react and what were my behaviors? And kind of learn about myself and learn, okay, why did I react like that? Why did I feel this way? And then kind of got to the core of it and thought, oh, now I know why and what experiences have happened in my life and people I've come into contact with that have treated me a certain way has now led me to feel nervous about this or worrying about this. I feel like I'm not making much sense. I'm kind of going on a little bit of a whim. But does that make, was that even a word? Never mind. Never mind. I'm just in the talky mood to talk about this, about how, you can use things to your own advantage. And that's not even in a way of like, that's a shitty thing to do. That's not that great. Not really. You should be using everything in your life to your advantage. How can that make you a better person? How can you grow? How can you learn yourself more and learn what behaviors are affecting people, and you can change that from a negative thing to a positive thing. And looking back at this is another thing about like forgiveness, looking back at a negative experience with someone and thinking, okay, yeah, it wasn't great, it hurt me, but I learned this from you, and from our from our relationship I learned this about myself, and it made me grow, and I wasn't, and then I didn't take that into the next friendship or relationship or whatever, you know. And I think a lot of people just kind of take it for what it is and then move on. Whereas I think it's a good idea to kind of look at what happened and look at yourself in that situation and kind of figure it out and break it down and, you know, learn something from it. You should be learning from every experience in your life. you you're going to become a lot more wiser and knowledgeable when it comes to human beings and communication, socialization, and how to interact with other people and keep relationships and friendships and have healthy and happy ones. If you're kind of looking into the negative ones and saying, okay, let's talk about it, like, why did it break down? What happened? What was I not okay with? Did I set my boundaries? Was I being respectful? You know? So, one thing that I've learned from a past negative friend experience was that I now am very good at setting boundaries, and I respect myself and I care for myself, and I know that I deserve love and I deserve respect and I deserve people who call themselves best friends. I deserve people who act like that and care for me. And that's what I learned. I learned what I don't want in a friendship. And I learned that, I don't know, kind of just learn what I do want in friends and what I will accept and what I won't accept in people in my life, and that it's okay to say bye to people if they're not for you and they're not treating you the way that you deserve to be treated, and they're not respecting you and they're constantly crossing your boundaries. And it's okay to have boundaries. You should have boundaries. And if people are constantly crossing those, that it's okay for you to leave their life, and it's okay for you to find better, because you should. If you're constantly settling for people who aren't respecting you and aren't making you feel good and are belittling you, you're always going to be you're going to be miserable. Whereas if you kind of make space for people in your life that are going to treat you better, yeah, they now have space to come in. But if you're constantly just surrounding yourself with people who are not fulfilling the role and are not treating you the way you deserve to be treated, you're not giving any space, any energetical space for those people who are going to treat you right to come in, because you're filling it with people who aren't. So, I feel like I'll get on a bit of a tangent here to talking about shitty friends rather than talking about alchemizing. But, you can make a negative experience into a positive one, because you can look at it from another perspective. Like, okay, yeah, it hurt me at the time, it was awful, like, it wasn't great, this happened, but I learned this, and I also learned this, and I was able to use that to grow as a person, and to determine what I will and won't accept in my life, and determine my boundaries, and all of this stuff. And I respected myself and I cared for myself and I loved myself enough to not put up with this. And then also, if you were the person who was being disrespectful or who was being toxic or crossing boundaries, you can learn, okay, I learned that I'm not great at respecting people's boundaries, and I didn't act right in this relationship or friendship, and I need to learn this, and I need to learn to grow, and that's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. We're all human beings, nobody's perfect. There's gonna be times in your life where you're gonna be the problem, and that's okay. I think people are so put themselves in victim mentality quite a lot because they don't want to be the problem, but you're going to be the problem sometimes, and it's fine. But if you're going to constantly put yourself in the victim mentality and say everybody else's problem, it's everybody else's problem but not your own, you're never going to grow. You're never going to learn the lessons you need to learn, and you're never going to become your higher self because you're going to be stuck miserable pretty much. Whereas you should take responsibility and go, okay, yeah, that wasn't great of me. Let's learn how in my next friendship, in my next relationship, in my other people in my life, that I can now actually be better and do better and treat these people the way they deserve because I deserve that too. But at the end of the day, you can only love and care and respect somebody else as much as you do for yourself. So if you don't have any of that for yourself, it's going to show externally by how you treat other people. Damn, was that philosophical psychology? Anyways, just wanted to talk a little bit about that. I don't really know what that was about, if I'm being honest. But anyways, bye.